Welcome to episode 61 of the BRASH Sports Podcast, brought to you by Peeing in the Shower. It's the piss that can't miss. Today on the show, we'll be discussing NFL rule changes, Cameron San Diego Sutton, and Draymond Green on the BRASH Sports page. Our resident baseball expert, Johnny, is here to go over MLB opening weekend. We'll break down our Sweet 16, update our brackets. Spoiler alert, it's not pretty. And we will rank our top 5 chain restaurants in the BRASH official world ranking. So stay tuned, because this is BRASH Sports.
And welcome to BRASH Sports. We're going to dive right in, Josh, to our BRASH Sports page. We got a few things to get into. It's been a while since we've had a nice, detailed BRASH Sports page, don't you think?
Yeah, dude, it has. It actually feels pretty good to be somewhat organized today and not just winging it by the seat of our pants.
We're still kind of doing that. But...
No, I mean, we will always be doing that. It's just there are degrees of being prepared, and most of the time we are on the far end of not being prepared. So it's nice to have a little something to go off of.
Yeah, the last few episodes, actually, just to be completely honest with our viewers, because that's what we like to do. We like full transparency over here.
All about honesty.
And we've not been properly preparing ourselves. We do not put the list together ahead of time, which is shame on us. We should put more respect, especially for those subscribers that are paying $59.99 a month for this material that we're pumping out there. But no, BRASH Sports page, it's not one to be missed this week, because the NFL and their ever-changing rules, it just keeps going and going, Josh. And we had 2 big rule changes. One I like, one not a huge fan of, but we'll see how all plays out. The first one is the kickoff returns. Everything has changed for the kickoff returns. The NFL owners, they have approved a massive revamp of the kickoff play. They have opted, after 3 days of discussions at the league's annual meeting, for a format that originated, weirdly enough, in the XFL. And per the new rule, this is, hear me out. We were both in agreement when we discussed this earlier. The kickers will continue to kick from the 35-yard line, but the other 10 players on the kickoff team will line up at the receiving team's 40-yard line. At least 9 members of the return team will line up in a setup zone between the 35 and the 30-yard line. Up to 2 returners can line up in the landing zone. Again, we're going to have to get used to this as this is going on. Between the goal line and the 20-yard line. No one other than the kicker and the returner or returners can move until the ball hits the ground or hits a player inside the landing zone. Touchbacks will be marked at the 30-yard line, and no fair catches will be allowed. I like that. In the event a team wants to attempt an onside kick, they need to inform the officials of their intent ahead of time. So no more surprise onside kicks, Josh. That's the one, that kind of stinks, but we didn't see a lot of surprise onside kicks last season anyway. There was probably like 2.
No, they're so hard to get now that like teams don't even really attempt them. And yeah, I think there were like 2 this year. I think both of them failed. I don't know. I could be wrong. The only onside kick I remember happening was Arizona against Baltimore, when I bet Baltimore minus 9.5, and then Arizona got an onside kick and kicked a meaningless field goal to blow my fucking bet. So no, I'm in love with this rule. I think it's awesome. I'd love to see kick returns back. It was just like, it had gotten to a point where it was like, you almost treated it like a commercial break. Like, I'm going to go grab a beer. I'm going to go take a leak because, it's just going to be a touchback. So yeah, to have a little action, to make something more interesting, to have, when you're kicking, if you have a lead, you have to kick off to somebody now, and there's a chance that they could return it on you. That's great. That's good entertainment. So job with this rule. I watched a few of the XFL and USFL kickoffs, and it's kind of cool. Like, it's like a rugby scrum with a ball that goes over its head and then a returner. So it's going to affect the way teams are drafting. It's going to affect free agents. Like
Yeah.
guys like Kadarius Toney, who are fucking useless in every other aspect of the game, are now valuable. So I think, dude, I actually really love this, and I think it'll be a big hit. And I think we won't see a kickoff change for a long time.
They are saying that this is like a year by year thing. They want to see how it goes this upcoming season, and then they'll decide whether or not it'll become a staple of the game moving forward. But you and I are huge fans of the kickoff returns, and we were huge, Dante Hall, Devin Hester guys. Yep. We love that extra threat that at any moment the game could be turned upside down by a blow away 99-yard kickoff return. Right. So I'm all for it.
Just you say like, oh, it's the NFL's treating it as a year by year thing. Yeah, dude, they treat every rule year by year now because they just fucking change the rules so much. They change the rules all the time. In fact, there were 12. I read them this morning. There were 12 rule changes this year.
We're talking about the top 2. I mean,
obviously, 9 out of the 12 were totally like insignificant. They were like the trade deadline moved back, like whatever.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
The 2 big ones, obviously, we're going to get into.
But in addition to that kickoff rule, which we are in both full agreement with, that'll make the game more exciting. The owners also approved an official ban of the infamous hip drop tackle. This is the first time I heard that term was last season when they started, dropping that, a hip drop tackle, I'm like, hip drop tackle. So a hip drop tackle, Josh, will result in a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down if a player uses the following technique to bring a runner to the ground. They have to grab the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms. To me, that's the same fucking thing. And after which, unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and lower body, which is basically just known as just going possum, and landing on and trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. So yes, I hope that's really what they stick to, meaning if they land on the opponent's legs or ankles or feet, it should be a penalty. I'm fine with that. My concern about this one, Josh, is that we'll see these tackles, which is, in my opinion, the textbook backyard football tackle, and they'll throw a flag just because it looks like a hip drop tackle based on that own individual referee's discretion, and that's where things are going to get a little sloppy. So that's why I don't like it. I always say NFL is a brutal game, and the rule is created to help prevent injuries because a lot of these quote unquote hip drop tackles have resulted in a lot of injuries this past season. I don't think it will result in less injuries, only more influence of the officials on the result of the game. And that is why I'm not a huge fan, but I know you're taking more of a wait and see approach.
Yeah, I totally, I think wait and see is the proper approach here. I think we'll see a lot of flags in the preseason on it, just to let teams know, like, hey, we are going to call this, so you need to be more mindful. But I also think we're going to see a lot more like running backs breaking out big runs, because how often is it that someone goes to run past you, you just shed a block, and now you have to kind of dive at the person? Like the laws of gravity are just not going to be in your favor for that exact situation, and you're just going to try and arm tackle him, and then he'll blow by you. So we're going to see a lot of blown arm tackles where you can't wrap him up and drag him to the ground, and it's always going to be when the defender is chasing someone who's already got a full head of steam running down the field. So like I don't like players getting injured. The NFL is obviously more fun when all of the healthy starters are playing, because you just have better competition and more interesting games, all that. But yeah, at a certain point, like, I also fucking hate subjective officiating where it's not a by the numbers thing or something that can be measured. When it's a ref looking at it and going, well, was it? I don't know. Was it? I don't, could have been. Yeah, I think they really have to look at, to your point, did they land on the legs or not? Whether or not it was a hip drop, did they land on the legs or not? Then it's a flag. Otherwise, it's too much up to interpretation,
It
and
won't be consistent. I'm
it
just so
won't be
warning you
consistent.
now.
And dude, this penalty, you picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Dude, this penalty just helped your pick so much, because the first person that hip drops fucking Kelsey or Mahomes is getting suspended for 10 games. Like they're going to throw them out of the game and possibly the league. So yeah, I mean, it's that at some point it's going to have an influence on the end of a game, and fuck, I don't know. But I also don't. It's so hard to tell right now. I think we're gonna have to, mid-season or something, look at it and go, yeah, it's not having that much influence. It's not as bad as we thought. Or, dude, they really fucked this up and they need to address it.
Now you're saying it will result in potentially more running backs breaking those big runs. That's where I disagree with you in terms of, I don't think in real time, when these players are flying around at the speed in which they do nowadays, that they're going to be able to make that conscious decision and say, oh, I got to make sure I don't tackle him like that. They're going to tackle him. They'll tackle him and they'll take the 15-yard penalty as a result, rather than just letting him go because they don't want to tackle him with a hip drop tackle. I mean, that's why I feel like it's not going to change the amount of injuries. It'll just change, it'll increase the amount of yellow flags we see getting thrown in the sky.
I don't know. I think over time, maybe at the beginning of the year when they're not super used to doing it just yet, but kind of like with pass interference, it's like, yeah, in real time, like if pass interference just came out this year and they passed a rule, it's like, come on, man, these guys are flying around. They're not going to be able to know, but eventually, like, there's less pass interference every year because they know not to do it. So I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I know the listeners do not want to hear that. They want to hear hot takes. They want to hear some brashness.
That's true.
But
sometimes it's a wait and see. I mean,
sometimes it's a wait and see, you guys. There's nothing we can do about it. We're only two guys just hanging out with a podcast. We can't affect it. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
That said, I do think it shouldn't be up to the owners who have never played a sport in their entire life to make these decisions. I think they should have a round table of ex-NFL players that are put into place to make such rule changes, because they're the ones that truly understand how the game is played and what it's like on the field, and they would be able to relate to the ones that are being enforced these new rules. So, but hey, we'll see. I understand why they're doing it. I just I don't agree that it'll actually make a difference on the injury front. But
so
let's move to
real quick. Who is in the NFL competition committee? Because when I was reading through these new rule changes, like, some of them are proposed by team owners, some are by the NFL competition committee. I'm like trying to pull it up right now. It doesn't. Yeah, okay. So here's a list of
everything
people.
I find, Josh, says that the owners are the ones that vote on this. I haven't seen anybody else's vote count worth a shit. So
maybe voting, but in terms of proposing rules, the competition committee got a couple through. And let's see, like, Mike Tomlin is on the competition committee, Sean McVay, Sean McDermott. So some head coaches, John Mara of the Giants. He's like the president CEO. But yeah, you're right. There's like no former players. There should be.
I mean, I think Tomlin played in the NFL, right?
Oh, good question. Welcome to Brash Trivia.
Yeah.
Did Mike Tomlin play?
I think he did. I think he did.
Okay.
Could be wrong. I could be completely wrong on that one. But
and real quick before we move on, another rule change that we didn't talk about that I like, and where the NFL gets shit right by doing these every single year. Like, how long have we talked about how stupid the challenge system is?
I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, they finally amended it. I read about it this morning. So now if you get your first challenge correct, it doesn't matter if you get your second one right or not, you get a third one.
Yes.
Finally.
That has
So
never made sense.
it was such a stupid rule. We knew
Yeah.
the second it came out, we're like, that makes no sense. If you get one right, you should get one in the bank.
Yeah.
My
You have to get fucked over twice and overturn it twice to get another one.
My opinion was you should just get one back every time you get
Every
it right.
time.
But it's step in the right direction, dude. Step
you're
in
right.
the right
You're
direction.
right. I guess they must be listening, Josh. They're listening to Brash Sports.
Dude,
we
are the competition committee.
We are the competition committee. I mean, we changed the Pro Bowl. Brash Sports has leverage.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is so true. We can change the Pro Bowl. We can change the rules.
We don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Next headline. Some disagreement here on this headline, but where on earth, Josh, is Cameron Sandiego Sutton? I know. Josh wants it to be where in the world is Cameron Sandiego Sutton? Now, real quick, before we dive into this story, there was some heated debate over the Carmen Sandiego and how it really went. Because here's the thing. We're 90s kids, and back in our day, there was, where on earth is Carmen Sandiego, and where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Josh remembers in the world. I was an on earth kid because I remember the cartoon that started in 1994. I was just a little fucker in kindergarten, but so you real quick, you brought to light that there was a game show on PBS back in the day, and that was the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. So could you shed a little bit more light on that, Josh? Because we need
I'd
be
to
happy to squared away.
I'd be happy to. And again, everyone be sure to send your emails with your opinions on this. We might take a poll. Maybe we'll take a Twitter poll. I don't know. Where in the world is the more popular phrasing of it, and it is the original. It started out as a video game or a computer. I mean, back then it was computer games. Very like Oregon Trail era computer game. And they turned it into a TV show called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on PBS. And as a broke kid, we didn't have many options. I watched PBS a lot. This was Magic School Bus days. This was like even before fucking Arthur. This is like Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street. Yeah, dude. Old school PBS. And it was wild. I watched a couple clips of it this morning. It was fucking mayhem. But you're the one, when you said where on earth, I was like, no, dude, it's where in the world. I thought it was a Mandela effect. Turns out we're both right. We're both right. You are referring to the Fox Saturday morning cartoon, which, by the way, I fucking loved. Fox Saturday morning cartoons were the best.
I mean, nothing beat it.
The best, dude. So yeah, we're both right. Neither one of us is wrong, but I stand by this. If you did a poll and said, is it where in the world or where on earth? It would be overwhelming where in the world.
Now, here's the funny thing. When I first thought about this headline, I did think where in the world. However, the only reason I remember Carmen Sandiego was because of that cartoon, which was called Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. So just so we're all clear. Yeah. Where in the world, let's be honest, sounds a lot better. Okay.
Has a better ring to it. It just does.
Where on earth just sounds like, I don't know. It seems like it takes too long, whereas where in the world is technically more letters. It's still just, it rolls off the tongue better. Yeah.
It really does. It really does.
So speaking of Cameron Sandiego Sutton is facing a charge of domestic battery by strangulation. Third-degree felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. The cornerback for the Lions, our former cornerback, police have been unable to find the motherfucker. He is just out there, still missing since March 7th. The arrest warrant was issued following a call early the morning of March 7th at a house in Lutz, Florida, where Sutton allegedly battered a woman before fleeing the scene. He has not been seen since. There's reports he might have been seen at the Lions facility the following day. And they kind of let him slip out, and he is Cameron Sandiego. He's officially, he's wearing the red trench coat and the hat. He is out there. Nobody can find him. Nobody knows
Yeah,
where he is. They're going to start a new PBS special starting, I think, next week on where is Cameron's San Diego son.
and instead of getting the FBI involved, they're just going to get two high school kids who have nothing better to do than to track down criminals.
No,
Apparently,
yeah.
because that was the point of the show. Dude, I'll be honest. I don't know much about this story. You're the one who brought it to me, and I was like, I had never even heard of it.
I am blown away by
Dude,
this.
nobody's talking about it, and an
No.
NFL player is just missing. What the fuck is going on? It's crazy. Now, if he wants to stay hidden, he should go play for the USFL, and he'll just stay tucked away. No one will know about him.
No.
He'll be hidden in plain sight. That, or he's in Mexico right now. Like, if you are on an NFL salary, you can go live like a king in Mexico and hide forever. So, but I hope he turns up. Like, come fucking take your medicine, dude. You hit a woman. Come take your fucking medicine. You're not the first NFL player to beat a woman. So come fucking, they'll sweep it under the rug for you, man. Just come take your fucking medicine.
I'm stunned that he's still missing. I just assumed they were going to find him, hiding out like at a family member's house, a cousin's house, or so. Yeah, Cam Sutton, dude, where are you? Rear your ugly head. Just fucking get it over with. Face the music. It's time. Stop playing this game. But hey, man, the guy, he knows how to play. Someone watched Carmen San Diego growing up because this motherfucker knows how to hide.
Yeah.
And speaking of where in the world, Josh, where in the world is Draymond Green's brain? I mean, this guy gets away with murder on the court. Warriors forward Draymond Green, for those that don't know, was ejected less than 4 minutes into the Warriors 101-93 win over the Magic in Orlando on Wednesday after receiving 2 technical fouls, his 4th ejection this season. How does he follow it up? Well, surprise, surprise, Friday night against the Hornets, he tries to kick Grant Williams in the dick. What an asshole move. I mean, typical Draymond Green, wouldn't expect any less out of him. How is he still allowed to play in the NBA? Nobody knows. That's another huge mystery.
Now it's like those kids, like when you're in school, there's those kids that fucking act up all the time, and not just little things. Like, we're talking about kicking guys in the dick. He put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold back in like November. Last season, he stepped on Sabonis's chest. I don't know if you remember that one, but like, he does these really bad things. Like, those kids would get taken out of class and put in a special class or have to go to a special school because they're just not fit to play with the other kids. They can't play nice. He can't play nice. It's official. And so, yeah, he needs to go fucking play in China or something. Go play in Europe. Go play somewhere else where they can sweep that under the rug because you'll be the biggest star there. But when you're in the NBA, dude, and he's a good player. He's kind of pivotal to their success. If you look at the numbers of the Warriors with and without Draymond Green, they need him, and he can't fucking keep it together. Like, getting ejected within 4 minutes of the game because you have 2 technicals. Dude, calm down. Stop being such a fucking hothead. It's crazy. The team needs you. Steph Curry, I don't know if you saw, but he was like visibly upset, like borderline crying, because he was like, he knows that they need every single win from here on out to make a playoff run. And I think the only reason that Draymond Green hasn't been just banned from the NBA is because they want the Warriors to be in the mix because they're one of the most popular franchises, not just in this country, but globally. So, it's just, something's got to change. They need to fucking cut his ass or trade him or something because, yeah, he's a fucking mess. He's a disaster. He's a hothead. Dude, get it together. And don't kicking a guy in the dick when he's wearing basketball shorts. That's not fun, dude. Like, who are you? You're not a man if you do that.
Now, and there have been no whispers of any further punishment for him I mean, again.
Well, he didn't connect. So on Friday, it was last night.
It doesn't matter.
He didn't connect. He didn't connect with the dick. He tried that. He tried to get that dick and he couldn't connect.
He wanted the dick and he couldn't get it, but no punishment. No punishment for Draymond Green. I mean, the guy, he's got something. He's got something,
He's got to screw loose, dude.
Yeah, but he's bulletproof too. Like they won't
Yeah.
punish him. I mean, he should just be suspended for the rest of the season or indefinitely, in my opinion.
Moving on.
Let's move right along. Draymond Green, fuck you. You know, you need to you just got to get away. You
Go
know,
play in China.
yeah,
Go play in
yeah.
China.
Go hang out with Cam Sutton. The bittersweet 16. That's what we're calling it, Josh, because our brackets were busted during the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Man, I almost placed a parlay bet for all the games because I was so sure. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm so happy I didn't. I held myself back because things took a turn. You had UConn, of course, defeating San Diego State. That one wasn't a surprise. 82-52 UConn, defending champs. They just look like the team to beat.
Yeah.
Bama upset the Tar Heels. This one pretty surprising to me, surprising to a lot of people. 89-87, not to you. I know you have Bama in your Final Four.
Had to brag a little bit there.
Yeah, Clemson, they stay hot against Arizona, winning 77-72. That was the end of my bracket right there. I had those Arizona Wildcats going all the way. I've always liked Clemson in football and in basketball. So, I'm okay with seeing them get the win, but it sucks. It comes at a cost of my bracket. Illinois, they knocked off Iowa State 72-69. That was actually one I was going to pick in my parlay because I don't understand the Iowa State thing, in basketball. I'm like, no, Illinois is the basketball team. So that one makes sense for me. Purdue, they handled Gonzaga 80-68, your final there. Purdue, dude, the Brash bracket has Purdue versus UConn in the final, and that is just setting up to be a fucking awesome must-see final right there.
Brash bracket still killing the game.
Brash brackets, it's the one now. It is the bracket. It's me, you, and Daniel's bracket is poo compared to the Brash bracket.
Yeah.
Duke, they stay alive. They were in my personal bracket in the Final Four. They beat Houston without. Well, I see. You put in there Houston missing their best player, but come on. A lot of players get injured. That's part of the fucking game. They won 54-51, low scoring. That's a WNBA score right there. NC State Wolfpack, there you go, beating the Golden Eagles 67-58. This is the one I watched from the beginning to end yesterday. It was a lot of fun. NC State's got that boy, he's like fucking 300 pounds, big man.
DJ Burns. Dude, I want the man. Giants, if you're listening, Joe Schoen, Mara, draft him as a tight end. He will be the next Antonio Gates if you draft that man to be a tight end.
And I do feel bad for Shaka Smart. I mean, I'm a huge Shaka Smart fan after what he did with VCU. The guy doesn't age. He still looks exactly the same as he did all those years back.
He's starting to get the Barack Obama hair a little bit. Where he's like aging, little grays on top, but he still looks like he's in his 30s.
And finally, there goes another one of my Final Four. I had Creighton, but Tennessee, the Vols, they take care of business. 82-55 or 75 rather is your final there, and there go the Blue Jays. So, damn, I was I was really hoping because I knew Creighton, that was the biggest one, that was the biggest poll. But now I only have two remaining in my personal bracket with UConn and Duke. But I'm pulling for the Brash bracket all the way now. I need to see a Duke or UConn Purdue final. It needs to happen. So speaking of which, here are your Elite Eight matchups. Now that it is official, you have number 3 Illinois going up against number 1 UConn. Number 6 Clemson. They're taking on the Crimson Tide. Number 4, number 2 Tennessee. They're the ones that have to go up against the Boilermakers. Number 1 Purdue, and finally the Wolfpack, who are the darling, only double-digit seed still remaining. They're going against the legendary Duke Blue Devils. So, of course, at this point, you and I texted yesterday after that big upset. We're pulling for the Wolfpack all the way.
Definitely. Big shout out to British Mike, fan of the show, been a day one listener of Brash Sports.
Did he have him going all the way?
No, but he's an alumni. He went to NC State.
So he should have just had his
Um,
dream bracket. If I were one of
he
those guys, I'd always
so
have a dream bracket set aside.
he's been traveling for work, and did not fill a bracket out this year. So this
Oh,
would have been the year for him because
wow.
he always picks with his heart, and he would have probably had NC State making a very deep run. So it's his
NC
loss.
State versus UConn in the final
Be
would
awesome.
be unbe-fucking leavable.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
nation polling for the Wolfpack. So
Of course.
hope that happens. The little I know, I don't think it will. I think Duke is pretty tough this year, and that was actually one surprising Final Four pick that I made. Knowing absolutely nothing about college basketball, but I think that one will stick. I think Duke can do it, and they'll pull it off. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope NC State get it done.
Duke's had a very easy run so far. They had like a 13 seed, then a 12 seed, and then Houston's best player goes out in the first.
Number 4 seed's the way to go. You want number 4 seed.
Yeah. Because 12 seeds always upset. So it's like you get 13 seed, 12 seed every time going into that matchup, but with the 1 seed, and they lost their best player. Now they get an 11 seed. Like Duke's had a pretty easy run.
Do you think NC State do it?
I think that they could pull it off. Like Duke.
Well, of course they can.
Struggled.
They made it this far, but if you had to put money on it, do you think they'll do it?
Well, I put money on NC State to upset Marquette. I bet the money line
that was
an emotional hedge. It was an emotional hedge, but it bailed me out because like all of my bets have been terrible this year in March Madness. But I betting man, like I don't know what the spread is just yet, but I'll probably put, even if it's like a 5-point spread or something, which is probably what it'll be, like NC State +5. Yeah, I think it'll be a very close game. I don't think Duke is blowing them out.
I think
NC State looks good. They've got a really good rhythm. Like they've got shooters. Like
I'm all in on NC State.
Me too. I
think we've already answered this one, but in terms of which team has the best chance of upsetting UConn, I mean, I think we touched on it with our brash bracket note there that it's Purdue, right? It's got to be Purdue. I mean, it's starting to look like it might be Purdue's year because they've been pretty good the past like 3 seasons and just had very disappointing tournaments. But, I mean, now that we're at the point where, your team is out, my team is out, Daniel's team is out, I'm pulling for the Boilermakers to go all the way. Of course that wouldn't help the brash bracket because the brash bracket does have UConn beating Purdue, but hell, if UConn beats Purdue, who I believe is the solid number 2 underneath them in the final, then they deserve it. They fucking deserve to repeat, and they are established as one of the best programs in basketball of our day,
Absolutely, dude, of all time. Like if you look at all-time wins, like I think that they have 5 right now. That would give them 6. Like I think UNC only has 7 or 8. Like we think of UNC as being this unbelievable, untouchable fucking program. UConn is sniffing at their heels, dude.
Yeah.
And again, big shout out Patty Mack, another big fan of the show. He's a UConn fan and he's fired up. They look like the best team. Like there's no questions asked. They are like head and shoulders above the rest. So, but I think Alabama, I think their matchup would be the winner of Clemson and Alabama. Dude, Alabama was my Final Four team. They're very good, dude. And they have shooters galore. Like if they get that 3-ball hot, they can take down anybody. So watch out for Alabama to potentially shock UConn. But I don't think it'll happen. I think UConn's going all the way. As boring as that fucking take is, like you just got to go with your eye test. I'd rather get it right than be interesting.
So 3 of your 4 Final Four are still alive, right? Because Marquette was your champion, and they're the only ones that got knocked out. Okay.
No, and then I had UConn, Alabama, and Purdue as my other 3 Final Four.
All right. Well, there you have it. Still super exciting. What we got to wait another half a week.
No, dude, there's games today.
Fuck yeah. All right. That's a nice pleasant surprise.
2 games tonight, 2 games tomorrow.
Sweet. Good. Yes. Dive. Keep it going. Get right into it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, buddy. Anything else you wanted to get into before we have to dive in to our Brash official world rankings? Because we got a
No,
big one.
it's a big one. I think we need to just get right into the world rankings because it's a big one. It's going to hurt people's feelings. It's
It
going to be
is.
some debate in here. And yeah, we obviously don't know enough about college basketball to talk about it intelligently. So
No,
we
no,
might
no.
as well move on. We gave the updates. We told everybody our brackets fucking
Yeah.
suck, and now we can move on.
I think we know just as much as about 80% of the country. Okay. Nobody else is really following it that deep
That's
unless you're
fair.
getting paid to do it
Yeah.
or, you just hate NBA and but you love basketball. And so you have to follow
Yeah, the
college
the problem
basketball.
with the guys who get paid to do it though, like they all just went, "Oh, it'll be all four number one seeds of the Final
Yeah. Yeah.
Four." Dude, get grow some fucking balls and take a chance. I'm
I,
still
tr-
bitter about
I
that.
took a lot of chances in my bracket and
Yeah,
it backfired,
same.
but
It backfired big time. They were right, but fuck them.
all right. Well, that's it. Let's get in to our Brash official world rankings. Okay, here we are. Today's Brash official world rankings. We will be given our top 5 chain restaurants. We are not counting fast food. This is strictly chain restaurant. When you think going down with your family, sitting down, somebody taking your order, sometimes you got to be wait to be seated. Back in the day, they'd say smoking or non-smoking. It was
Yeah,
hilarious because it was
the
all
best.
pretty much the same room.
Yeah,
This is what we're talking about now. We had to specify this because it's very important. Are we talking about top 5 chain restaurants of all time, meaning from our childhood and how we remember them? Or are we talking about top 5 chain restaurants of today? We decided to stick with today. So that's what we're going with because the list would be very different
yeah.
otherwise, right, Josh?
No, and I think we'll give some shout outs in the honorable mentions
Oh,
to
a lot of
places
honorable
that
mentions. Yeah.
we grew up with loving. But I think, the point of the list is, hey dude, me and you are gonna go out and meet for dinner or whatever. Where are we gonna go? What are the top 5 places that we're gonna suggest?
All right. So without further ado, Josh, I guess let's dive right into it. In fact, I'm making a on the spot
Oh,
adjustment.
all right. Well
Yeah,
then
look at
I'll go
that.
ahead. I'll go ahead and go
Number
first.
5.
Well, while you adjust, number 5 for me, little place called Outback Steakhouse. I fucking
Ooh, damn.
love,
That's
dude.
an amazing one. That's an amazing one.
I love Outback Steakhouse. It's fucking amazing. It's one of the. I think we're gonna have 3 overlaps on our list. This is one that I didn't know if you'd have it or not, but it's one of my personal favorites. Everything I ever get there is great. The bloomin' onion is one of the most delicious appetizers known to man. It will kill you, so you got to eat them sparingly. But man, they're fucking good. The steaks are always good. They use a lot of seasonings, which I don't really have a problem with because it's probably not the best cut of meat, but it's fucking delicious. Everything, even the kookaburra wings, and also, yeah, the fun names on the menu. The Alice Springs chicken, the kookaburra wings,
Yeah.
dude, they're fucking, yeah, dude. The Sydney salad, I don't know,
I
the
love it.
Melbourne mashed potatoes. I don't. I'm just making them up now, but yeah, dude, Outback, it's an experience, man. You feel like you're going to Australia. And the number 5 could have been higher, honestly.
No, I love it. I'm sure. Again, I'm sure that we did have to kind of make these on the fly and our lists, and I'm sure we're gonna look back and there's ones we've just straight up missed.
Guaranteed.
But I did not have Outback on my list, and I'm actually surprised. I mean, now that said, I really only went to Outback in my lifetime, probably like a handful of times. So
Okay.
it wasn't a a constant in my lifetime, whereas these other ones pretty much were or are. With number 5 in my book for today, I went with Chili's. Chili's is number 5. I mean, I want my baby back, baby back, baby
Yeah.
back. I mean, Chili's, those commercials back in the day with the baby back ribs. And of course, going there, the one in Manassas, the Bull Run Plaza. That's the most classic Chili's of all time. And it was always just a really special, event. And they had, and I've always loved their burgers. I always thought they knocked the burgers out of the
Yes, dude.
park.
Totally underrated burgers.
They would have been higher on my list had we done this 15 years ago. I think over time they've gotten worse and worse with their quality and their service. But yeah, Chili's had to make my top 5. They had to get some respect. I'm a huge Chili fan and Chili's fan. And yeah, the Shinerbach burger. Shinerbach burger. God, that Shiner, you can't even buy that Shinerbach sauce anywhere. You can get the Jack Daniel's sauce, but you can't get Shinerbach sauce.
Well, the Jack Daniel's is a different restaurant.
That
right?
is a different
Yeah,
restaurant.
I won't
Yes,
say
is.
it. I won't say it. I won't say it.
Oh no, I'm sure that'll be coming up here soon. But yeah, Chili's. Shout out. I mean, and we just had great times there back in our day.
Dude. I know
that was the meeting place.
We were so lame. That was like our happy hour spot back in our in our 20s. Fucking Lunatic Fringe and
oh my god,
Johnny Wolf singing.
Yeah,
Johnny singing. Yeah. Anyway,
Georgia
all right.
Satellites. Yeah,
the Georgia Satellites. Yeah, I couldn't think of it. All right. So, speaking of which, by the way, for anyone listening, Johnny did not make it on the show today, and we were gonna do a bit, and we totally forgot.
We totally botched that bit, but yeah, Johnny was scheduled to be on the show to talk a little MLB opening day. He, some things came up, so he's not gonna be able to make it, but he has mentioned that he is interested in joining us next week for our WrestleMania preview. So stay tuned for that.
What a shame that we did not use that opportunity to do a bit, but it's fine. We're moving on. We're ranking restaurants right now. Got to stay focused. The ADD is out of control. Number 4 on my list is not going to be on a lot of people's list, I'm guessing, but it's one of my favorite spots. Always delivers, especially in my adulthood. This place has been a standby favorite of mine. It's Bonefish. Dude, Bonefish is fucking awesome. I don't know if you've ever been to Bonefish or what, but dude,
good one. That's a really good one.
The Bang Bang shrimp alone is enough to fucking skyrocket it up the list. It's the entrees are great. The pasta dishes are fucking awesome, and they have brunch. So, and I've been to their brunch. The eggs Benny was very good. So, Bonefish, dude, big shout out to them. Big props to Bonefish. They're just underrated. You see them a lot. You never really go in, but when you do, you're not disappointed. Bonefish up there.
I love Bonefish. Yeah, I do like I like the Bang Bang shrimp. I like the coconut shrimp. I like the grilled swordfish. It's the only time I'll get grilled swordfish is at a Bonefish.
And it's great.
And I really hope that one in Gainesville still holds up because I always had good times there.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Emily Dow, who probably still works there. But Again, nowhere on my list, nowhere in my honorable mentions. You just knocked out 2 that weren't even in my brain. So that's
and they were the 2. They were the 2 that I didn't think you'd have.
That's great, dude. All right. So yeah, our lists are very different. I like it. Number 4 on my list, chain restaurants. I had to put them on my top 5. Talk about a meeting place. Talk about a special place for friendship and Karate Kid 3. I'm going with Denny's. Denny's makes my list at number 4.
Yes.
Anybody who, I ever have the conversation with of breakfast chain restaurants, I always say Denny's never lets me down. Funny enough, we did recently have a poor experience at a Denny's with dirty finger water, a lot of dirty finger water coffee. But that was honestly my only poor experience ever. And it's probably because I was jinxing it so heavily, talking to so many different people, telling them how consistent they are, and they never let me down. The prices are great. You get the biggest bang for your buck over at Denny's for that Grand Slam. There's really not a whole lot more to say. I mean, Denny's, if I see a Denny's on a road trip, I will swing in and stop at a Denny's. Speaking of road trip, I just thought of another one that's not on my list or my honorable mention, but it always
Oh,
reminds me of going on a road trip. You know
I
what
bet
I'm
I know
talking
what it
about?
is. It's not on my list, but it's the number
That's
one honorable mention that
That
I
is a
have.
great one. But yeah, we were reading each other's minds there. But yeah, Denny's number 4, solid. And you know, I will say, just to be fair, I have never gone to Denny's for anything other than breakfast. It is my breakfast place. I've never gone there later in the day to have a burger or a steak. I mean, I'm sure they're good, but I've never done it.
I think I
Never
got
done it.
chicken. I think I got chicken tenders at Denny's once, but
Oh,
no, it's
okay. Well,
breakfast. Any hour of the day, you go for breakfast for
yeah.
sure, and it always delivers. Denny's way up there, even though, yeah, the last time we went, it sucked, but
Hmm.
that's rare. And people are like, oh, IHOP is better. Fuck you. IHOP is not better than Denny's. Eat a dick. Eat a lot of dicks. Number 3 for me, talk about a childhood favorite that has just stuck around for all these years. I'm talking about the OG Olive
Hmm.
Garden.
Yep.
One of my absolute
Yep.
favorites, dude. People shit on it. People go, oh, they're just microwaving the food. Okay, it's delicious. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit. Fucking cook it however you want and serve it to me on a giant plate with unlimited breadsticks and salad, because the breadsticks are amazing. The salad's great. The portions are fucking massive. It feels overpriced, but you always get 2 meals out of it. The chicken parm, dude, and it's like, people who are all fucking high and mighty about eating real Italian food always shit on Olive Garden. Dude, it tastes good. Just get over yourself. You're not special. Don't make being Italian the only interesting thing about you. You're not, yeah, dude, I'm going in. I'm a
I
stern
love
defender of Olive Garden because it's delicious. It's good every single time. That's one I don't think I've ever left an Olive Garden thinking like, that was kind of disappointing. It's because they microwave the food. It's always the same. It's great.
It's been many years since I've been to an Olive Garden,
Oh,
and that
go,
used to
dude.
be,
Treat
again,
yourself.
20 years ago, had we put this list together, Olive Garden probably would have been number 1. They did not make my top 5 cut as of right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact I just simply haven't been to an Olive Garden in ages. But I always have very good, fond memories of Olive Garden, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. The salad and breadsticks, the seashell macaroni and cheese.
Oh,
As
yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
little kid, they used to have the make
The
your own
best.
pizza, and you could
Yes,
like
dude.
and they would take it and put it in the oven and bring it back, which
Yep.
is blasphemous. You're never supposed to take someone's plate, bring it back in the kitchen, and bring it back to them.
Didn't
It's against
matter.
all the rules of proper restaurant etiquette, but they broke all the rules and they didn't give a shit. And
Nope.
yeah, I loved Olive Garden. Again, I just, from what I've heard from people that have gone there recently, within the last 3 years, they say it's gone downhill. It's sloppy. It's not what it used to be. When was the last time you went to one, Josh?
6 months ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you got a good one. You got a you
Yeah.
there's one nearby. Okay.
Dude, I
Hey.
have never been to a bad one. I don't think
Oh,
it's gone downhill. I think people just like to shit on it.
okay.
I think
I'm
people
not
just like
I'm not
shitting on Olive
shitting on
Garden.
it. I'm just saying from what
We
I've been told, and
y-
I haven't been to one in a very long time.
Next
So,
time I'm in town, we're going to Olive Garden, and
okay.
you're gonna be like, oh, this is just how I remember it.
Yeah, they got one in Martinsburg. It's only like 15
Mm.
minutes up the street.
Oh, it's so good.
Number 3 for me is a restaurant that's very close to a Olive Garden in Sterling, Virginia. And this place actually was relatively new. I think it started further down south, and then it started becoming more popular in our area, in the Northern Virginia area. And it's surprising it makes my top 3, because honestly, talk about being there only a handful of times. I only had been there a handful of times, but it really resonates with me and how consistently awesome they were. And I love the ambiance and everything about it. Sweetwater Tavern.
Yeah,
And they brew their own beer.
yeah,
They had this one in October. Their
that's a great
Oktoberfest
one.
beer was their pumpkin ale was so fucking good, and they crushed up fucking pumpkin seeds and put it on the rim of the beer. It's fucking
Yeah,
awesome. And the Southwest egg rolls. The first time I ever had those was at a Sweetwater Tavern, and they just killed it. And Chili's did a knockoff version of it. Chili's version was good, but it couldn't hold a candle to Sweetwater Tavern's Southwest egg rolls. So, and I've just never had a bad experience there. Everything they give you was fucking awesome. Now, that said, haven't been in a while, and I could go, tomorrow, and it might be extremely disappointing. But from what I remember as of today, I'm going with Sweetwater Tavern. So there you have
All
it.
right.
That's my number 3.
Dude, Sweetwater Tavern is fucking awesome. There's no doubt about it. It's great. Now, quick question: how many Sweetwater Taverns do you think there are in the
Oh,
in the
no.
United States?
Real quick, we did have this discussion before the episode today that should this be, restaurants that are all over the country or just regional? And I was just strictly going with my favorite chain restaurants. And I understand that like my top 3 are pretty much limited. But how many total in the country right now?
Yeah, Sweetwater Taverns.
Oh my God. Fuck. Well, the way you asked the question, I'm assuming it's got to be like 20.
3.
What?
There's 3 Sweetwater Taverns.
Oh my! I thought it was more popular than that. That must mean it must be going downhill. There was definitely more than 3, 10 years ago. So
I don't know. I just went to their website and I looked at locations. There's one in Centerville, one in Merrifield, and one in Sterling. We always went to the one in
God.
Yeah, we always went to the one in Centerville, and it was great. But I didn't really know of any other ones. I wouldn't have guessed it was a chain, honestly.
Well, again, yes, had this list been strictly ones that are nationwide, and I would have had more time to put this together, I would have put a more proper list together for nationwide ones. But
it's all right.
I just went straight from the heart.
Flag on the play. 10-yard
not
penalty.
A flag. That still follows the rules for a chain restaurant. It's a chain restaurant. So 3, yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. That's not many.
So what are we on now? 2, number 2. Speaking of places that
you're gonna hate my top 2 now that these rules have been established.
Really? That's no, because one of them's pretty big because it's the one that I'm about to lay on. Number 2, talk about a place that'll make you number 2.
You're stealing my thunder.
Texas Roadhouse. It's so fucking good, dude. I love Texas Roadhouse. And one that I didn't grow up with because there weren't any around. And then there was one in North Carolina when I moved to Southern Pines. There's one down there. I think I'd been to one in my life and it was good. But dude, when I had one in town, I was like, I'm going to fucking eat there all the time. It's amazing. Yeah. The steaks, dude, the best chain restaurant steak by a fucking mile. To me, it's not even close. And the bread. Let's talk about those buns for a second, dude. With that like sweet cinnamon butter. Oh,
it's cinnamon honey butter with
honey butter,
sweet bread, and they will give you as much bread as you possibly could.
They won't stop serving.
They won't stop, and it's always piping hot and fresh. I mean, it's
good, dude.
They knock it out of the park.
It's so good. Oh, dude, there's a Roadhouse in town. Apparently it's a clusterfuck, like from the people I've talked to. It's like a running joke in town that our Texas Roadhouse is like you can't get a table. It's so crazy all the time, like 24/7. Like anyway, Texas Roadhouse, amazing. That's another one. We need to go. I need to try out your Texas Roadhouse out there in West Virginia. Because that place fucking rules. So number 2 easily could have been number 1. Easily could have been number 1.
Yeah. So I mean, my number 1 will be non-eventful at this point, but my number 2, another, I suppose another indie, is Glory Days. I love Glory Days. You're gonna look it up now. They probably have only 4 restaurants.
No, let's take a guess. I think that there's probably 10 of them.
See, okay, I'm going to say 20 again. I mean, Glory Days, it can't just be a Northern Virginian thing. I mean, I thought they were still all along the East Coast. I mean, and those fucking wings, dude, they got the wings and the wing sauce. I mean,
very good.
I just, I love me a Glory Days, and you could always get a solid burger there. They have a good steak and cheese. I just love the way they have it laid out. The bars right in the center of the restaurant and all the sports all over the place. I mean, it's always a fun time going to Glory Days Grill. So Glory Days is number 2 because I was ranking them by places I would like to go to right now. So that was how I did my top 5. But Glory Days, special place in my heart.
I,
Shout out
I'm
to
with
Glory
you,
Days.
dude. In Gainesville, that was absolutely one of my favorite places to go. Plus, we always knew everybody who worked there.
Mhm.
It was one of those like industry places that
Yeah.
we hung out there in Ruby's because we knew everybody at Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Glory Days is fucking awesome. And by the way, you were 100% right. It's
Okay,
not
good.
just in Northern Virginia. There's 40 of them. So that
Good.
counts.
Good.
That
That
totally
one
counts.
counts.
It
That
is
one counts.
uh it is up there. Yeah, down all the way
Because they're
down to
killing it.
Florida.
They're
Yeah, they're
killing it.
great.
And I went to one probably like 4 or 5 months ago with Johnny. We went to one in Winchester. I didn't even know that it was there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went there and it was fucking awesome. Like they haven't missed a step.
I've never seen one outside of Northern Virginia, so I just assumed, and that's on me. Hand up. I will take accountability there. So
Okay.
40, that's a chain. That's
Okay,
officially a
good.
chain. So yeah, dude, and that you're right. That'd probably be in my top. I haven't been to a Glory Days, and I couldn't tell you how long, but back in the day, fuck, dude, that was the ultimate hangout spot. The wings were awesome. Like $5 burgers on Tuesdays. Like Glory Days, fucking had it figured out. Everything was good every time. So all right, you win that round. And I will go with my number 1, which is my all-time favorite chain restaurant. As a kid, as an adult, I still love going there to this day. It probably has taken a step back, but it was so far ahead of the rest of the competition that step back didn't even affect it in my mind. And that's Chili's, dude. Chili's is the fucking ultimate. I love Chili's. I would go there today and eat my face off. Dude, the best, like the honey, the crispers, the chicken tenders, the fajitas are great. You talked about the burgers earlier. I've always loved their burgers. They're super underrated. They're basic, but they're great. The Southwest egg rolls, fuck you, dude. Southwest egg rolls at Chili's are fucking probably
Sweetwater Tavern's better. Just saying.
Yeah, well, maybe I could go to one. Oh wait, there's only 3 of them in the country.
I know. That sucks. Makes it more special.
Yeah, that's fair. But no, Chili's, dude. Well, and again, in my youth, when I was a kid, it was my favorite restaurant. As an adult, it's my favorite place to just like if I'm looking for a sit down, I'm gonna find a Chili's because they're everywhere and they're always good. And they always had, dude, remember when we would do happy hour there? They had like dollar beers and half price appetizers. Dude,
yes.
We don't
do that anymore.
Like, no, fuck no. But we used to live like kings at Chili's, dude. And I won't forget those days. That factors into me. And it's still good. It's still a place where if someone was like, hey, you want to go grab a bite? You want to go sit down and have lunch? I'd be like, yeah, let's go to fucking Chili's because it's great.
No, I mean, again, time has had a huge impact on my top 5 list. I mean, there was a time for many years where Chili's was my solid, easy number 1.
Yeah.
But it was also before I had been introduced to a Texas Roadhouse because they didn't exist yet in my area. And Texas Roadhouse, without a doubt, no questions asked, at 36 years old, is my go-to chain restaurant. I absolutely love that place. Josh stole my thunder earlier, but yeah, I mean that bread with the butter and just never ending amount of it. The steaks so consistently good. Big prime rib fan. And really anything you get there, you can get a country fried steak, the sides, the green beans, and they put little bits of bacon in it, and the garlic mashed potatoes. I mean, I love me some Texas Roadhouse. And another thing that really sticks out to me, and maybe of course this could be different from Roadhouse to Roadhouse, but the management is so on point. The employees look like they actually give a shit and they're having a good time at work and they have a personality. It's hospitable. And that's what you want in a fucking restaurant. The fact that they've been able to keep that with a chain restaurant says a lot about the brand and the standards. So yeah, Texas Roadhouse is my number 1. I can understand why Chili's is your number 1. Surprised that your number 1 is my number 5. But again, we're just, they're doing this in 2024. So that's the way I looked at it. And Sweetwater, If I had to kick Sweetwater out and move Denny's and Chili's up, then Olive Garden would have definitely been my number 5. To be fair,
Nice.
so
All right, fair enough. Okay,
let's get into our honorable mentions.
one big one that and you'll notice I didn't have a single breakfast spot in my top 5.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had to do all dinner spots, but dude, Cracker Barrel, fucking Cracker Barrel.
That was the one we
dude.
were talking about earlier in Road Trip.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
The road trip spot.
Yeah.
You see a Cracker Barrel on the side of the road, you're pulling in. You're getting some coffee.
Gonna go.
You're gonna fucking fill your belly with chicken fried steak, and then just trying not
chicken
to fall
and
asleep.
dumplings.
Oh, the chicken and dumplings,
so
good, dude. But yeah, there's, endless breakfast spots. Like Bob Evans is fucking great. Even IHOP, I like IHOP.
That's on mine.
Denny's is better than IHOP, but I still
IHOP.
like IHOP.
IHOP's not on there just because even as a kid, I was I just wasn't a huge. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. Like I always preferred Bob Evans or Shoney's.
Shoney's is a good one, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Now here's the thing. Are you done knocking? You have a few more that you want to get to?
No, I think we covered every single. Shout out from my youth. Bennigan's. I don't know if you remember Bennigan's.
I never went to a Bennigan's.
Loved Bennigan's as a kid, and then Ruby Tuesday, obviously.
Ruby Tuesday. That's the one. Yeah. That is the one from my youth. Ruby Tuesday and TGI Fridays are the ones from my youth. Definitely, those were the special ones. As a kid, you loved going there. But yeah, we talked about Bob Evans, Shoney's, of course, and Shoney's was also kind of like a buffet, so it's hard to put in the category, I guess. But so was Bob's Big Boy, which we used to go to Bob's Big Boy in Warrenton back in the day when I was a little kid. Shout out to Don Pablo's when Don Pablo's was the shit. Don Pablo's used to be awesome, man.
Don Pablo ran the town. He was the Don.
Yes. Yeah. And Don Pablo's was really big, like in the early 2000s. Everybody, there was a Don Pablo's all over the place. Now they're all gone. And I had to give an honorable mention to a special place in our heart, Hooters. Shout out to Hooters. Oh, come on. Wow. Fucking hell. That one could have easily snuck into my top 5. I mean, it's it's amazing they're still in business. But they seem to be thriving, Hooters.
I mean, if you're going, by the way, their food is good. I've never had a problem with their food, but man, the atmosphere, that's a number. If we do chain restaurant atmosphere, Hooters. Oh, I also thought about
purposely coming and flirting with you. Like that's part of the deal. Like,
it's so much fun.
Come on, man.
You thinking that she likes you is part of the deal, and it's
one
great.
Step below a strip club is a Hooters. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's it. And there's kids that go there, but that's because their food is damn good.
Food is damn good.
And Glory Days has their wing sauce, but Hooters has their specific hot sauce. Yeah. Very distinct to a Hooters, and I love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, their wings are breaded, but they're still very good. Another one that I thought about earlier that I didn't have honorable is a place that I loved the first 20 times I went. It was awesome. Talk about a place that went downhill fast. Buffalo Wild Wings, dude.
That was a flash in the pan for me.
Flash in the pan. It was so great. I loved it. It was great
for like a day.
I loved it, and then it just went. Oh,
their wings are like this big. Here, they just keep getting smaller. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like, where are you getting these little tiny wings?
They keep killing smaller and smaller birds.
Yeah. The chickens that are like this big, they're just plucking their little tiny wings. Why am I fucking eating this?
Dude,
I know
it's not good, and it sucks because talk about a place with great atmosphere, like giant
and I bet
TVs everywhere.
We're talking about how shitty they've become. I bet you they're the biggest out of every single one that we've just named right now. They probably have more Buffalo Wild Wings than any other one that we just named.
There are a lot of them. There are a lot of them.
Because they're just fuck that place. There's fucking
it's a shame. It used to be like a solid
dishonorable mention in my book.
Well, there was a stretch, probably a couple years when they first opened in Gainesville. Really was the time, and because that was the first time I'd ever been to one. And it was awesome.
Dishonorable mention, Applebee's.
Yeah. That's obvious though. That didn't even need to be said. But yeah, it's not. Applebee's is not good.
But
We were
again,
never an Applebee's
there's probably more
family.
Applebee's than there are Texas Roadhouses. I mean,
I saw they closed down a lot of Applebee's.
okay.
Dishonorable. I don't know. Dude, I'm such a sucker for like processed manufactured food that like I love all of them. In fact, if you sat me down in an Applebee's, I'd probably have a decent
Macaroni Grill, dishonorable mention. There's one for you.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I
they
think
think
I
they
went
can
there
fuck with
once.
Olive Garden.
I was, or Cheesecake Factory. That's the one I got it confused with. Another dishonorable mention. Cheesecake Factory grosses me out. Ugh. You can't call your restaurant Cheesecake Factory when you're just, you're selling other food. If you're a Cheesecake Factory, motherfucker, you stick to cheesecake. That's what you do. I mean, you're not allowed to venture off and all this other stuff.
Well, in the biggest menu of all time.
Yeah. Well, but they're known for that. That's their thing.
I've just haven't gone a lot. There was that one in Fair Lakes, but I don't know. I didn't go to Cheesecake Factory a lot. But their cheesecake is awesome. We used to go there for cheesecake.
Shout out to Silver Diner. Shout out. That's an honorable mention.
That's a great one.
Silver Diner's awesome.
It's very honorable.
And I went to one not too long ago, and they hold up, dude. And they still have the little jukebox at your table. So
you gotta put a quarter in there and play a song. For sure. All right. Well, I think that covers every single chain restaurant in the country.
Yeah, we beat that one to death. But all right. Well, there you go. We'll try to establish some clearer rules next time. We're putting our top 5 together. Moving forward. All right,
dude. But the Sweetwater thing, it's fine.
If you haven't been to a Sweetwater and there's not one within a 70-mile radius, do yourself a favor and plan a vacation to go and try one out, and I think the fact that there's only 3 of them makes them even better. So there you go.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by Sweetwater Tavern.
Hey, by the way, Sweetwater if you want to sponsor the show,
please,
we're all about
all
it.
means.
Please do.
We're taking phone calls.
We are.
All right, buddy. Well, that was fun. Good, solid episode. Happy Easter. Hope you got something fun planned with the fam, and we'll be talking to you soon for WrestleMania preview coming up next week.
All right, buddy. Peace.